Hey everybody, welcome to Techforpsych, where we combine the latest neurotechnology with ancient wisdom to supercharge your brain. I'm Dr. Cody Rall, your medical doctor confidant. So I've gotten a lot of questions lately on energy centers within the body. And this is because I've put out several tutorial videos as of late on how to actually open up these energy centers and circulate energy throughout your central nervous system so that you have more power to focus on your breath or meditation objects, which elicit these amazing meditative experiences. The problem comes down to locating where these energy centers actually are and awakening them. And for those of you that haven't had much experience with this, it can be a little difficult to figure out how to do that. So I wanted to make this video to talk about three different ways, three different techniques that you can apply to the area of that energy center to awaken it, to enliven it, so that you have really deep and profound meditation experiences. So it's interesting when you look on the internet about these different energy centers, these chakras, and really what you find is the information is really superficial for the most part. And I think that's where people get confused, because they take a look at these graphs with the English names of these energy centers, the root chakra, the heart center, or the third eye, and these descriptions of what these centers are actually supposed to be about. You know, the root chakra is supposed to be about being connected to the earth or feeling safe. The third eye is about connecting with the universe at large and gaining universal wisdom. And it's difficult to understand what these are actually talking about, and difficult to employ them when you're actually meditating. And I think that's what's actually really important is being able to feel the energy of these different energy centers when you visit them with your attention, and not getting too hung up on what they're supposed to be for, and circulating the energy through them so that you can have these profound meditation experiences where you can have direct subjective experience of what these energy centers feel like to color your meditation experience, rather than just reading descriptions of text on the internet. So getting a little bit into the anatomy and physiology of what these energy centers actually are, they taught us all about them in medical school, it turns out. We just didn't call them chakras. You would have the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, and in the autonomic nervous system you would have the flight or fight response resources called the sympathetic nervous system, and you would have the rest and relaxation response, which would be the parasympathetic nervous system. And it turns out that these cell bodies of these cells that project their axons into the peripheral tissue are in things called plexuses. And these reside in different areas of the spinal cord. And you can look and actually see that there's different centers of collections of cell bodies that project their axons into the peripheral tissue that control things like the release of hormones, neurotransmitters, etc., that actually have profound effects on the body. And you can actually see, for instance, the sacral plexus is actually within the center of the sacral root. So there's actually anatomical correlations of physical tissue within those centers. And it is my belief that when you redirect your attention to those centers and actually pay attention to them, what you're doing is training your brain, your routing system in your brain, to connect on a deep level with those centers and be able to influence them in a certain way that allows your brain to gather more resources, meaning that the different brain circuits are resonating with each other by firing in the same frequency pattern. So if you had one brain circuit that was firing like this and another that was firing like this, they sync up and then they start firing in the same rate. And what happens is you get more neuronal tissue to actually gather more resources so that you have more power for attention, and that really can enhance your meditations to a completely different level. So taking a look at these energy centers, how do you find them if you've never actually taken the time to try to feel them before? One way that you can do that is actually just redirecting your attention to the area. The heart center is pretty easy to find, and we'll talk about metta here in a second as one of the techniques, which is loving kindness. And if you feel empathy, if you close your eyes and think about a loved one, or giving someone a gift or being nice to someone, you should actually feel, if you put your attention in the middle of your chest, this energy emanating from that, this loving kindness energy. And the center of that emanating energy is the center of the heart chakra. So that one's actually relatively easy, in my opinion, to track down. What might be more difficult is the root chakra, Mooladhara. And to find that, we're going to use these different techniques in order to bring that out. One of these techniques can be a physical technique, and it involves actually contracting the muscles within the area and then relaxing them and feeling the energy sort of spike up your spine. So the root chakra, Mooladhara, you actually can contract those muscles down there, and the muscles of the perineum, it's down near your anus. And if you actually contract those muscles and release them, you can actually feel an energy spike going back into your spine, and that's about the area of where the root chakra is at. And it might give you just kind of a general understanding of the area that you should be focusing on. And you can take a look at pictures and close your eyes and try to feel the energy coming out of there. But this video is mostly about 3 different techniques that you can use to awaken the energy. That was the main question within the YouTube community, is once you understand the location of these energy centers, how do you awaken the energy? How do you get them to expand and feel this pop of energy and feel them sort of connect with each other as you move up the spine in your attention in preparation for something like spinal breathing? So the 3 different techniques that you can use to awaken the energy of these different energy centers are metta, the energy that I talked about before with the heart center, metta, loving kindness, the ujjayi breath, which is something that we'll cover here in a second, as well as something called Om Japa, which is a mantra that you can chant into the energy center to have it resonate with the rest of your body. So we'll go through these one at a time here, and I'll take you through a little tutorial about how to actually use this on Mooladhara, the root chakra, as well as Anya, which is the third eye, and we'll take a look at what that actually looks like. So if you're trying to find an energy center like Mooladhara, it's down at the base of the spine. Usually you wouldn't really pay attention to that area unless you've had some meditation training, and it can be a little difficult to actually feel like a difference of energy blossom out of that area. So one of the things that Joe Dispenza in his last book really emphasized was when you close your eyes and you redirect your attention to that area, you're actually paying attention to the energy around the center and trying to create a vacuum to where you feel this pull of energy within that center, within that energy center. And the loving kindness, the meta awareness that you can put into that actually is what he calls blessing the energy center. So if you close your eyes and focus down on the root chakra, the Mooladhara, and this is where you can actually employ the subjective or the superficial looking text that you find on the internet. So you look it up, root chakra, okay, it's supposed to be making you feel connected to the earth, make you feel safe. It has a lot to do with eating and elimination of those of waste products. All these basic functions of life that make a human feel like that they're centered, that they're valued, that they are okay and safe. You know, when your root chakra is out of bounds, you might feel anxious or uncentered or unsafe, that type of thing. So when you think of these feelings and you close your eyes and you visit the root chakra, the Mooladhara, in order to bless the energy center, you bless it for what it's doing for you. You say, thank you. Thank you for making me feel safe and connected to the earth. You know, as I sit here on the meditation pillow, you know, I'm feeling really grounded. I did do my meditation today, so I'm actually feeling really well right now. And maybe part of the grounded, centered feeling, like I have purpose and I'm moving towards that, is because the Mooladhara is in alignment. I've resonated with it with the rest of my body. I'm not feeling anxious or uncentered, and I'm feeling good. So when I close my eyes and pay attention to the energy center, I'm going to thank it. I'm going to bless it. I'm going to thank you for all the things that you do for my body, a lot of essential functions down there, physiologically and mentally and psychologically. You're keeping me well centered, so I want to thank you for that. And you should be able to feel a little bit of a buzz, a little bit of an energy. And if you open it up a little bit, maybe even a little pop of energy as you notice that it comes into awakening of your attention in that moment. So that is the meta kindness, the blessing of the energy center. So you can use that energy initially to open up the center, try to locate it, and feel it for its energy that it is supplying you with. The other practice that I want to go through in this video is the ujjayi breath. So Ujjayi breath is translated as ocean breath, and it's this idea of breathing into awareness. And this is a very prominent technique in Kriya Yoga because it really sharpens the attention. And you can use it to sharpen your attention on individual energy centers as well. So when you redirect your attention to Mooladhara, you can use Ujjayi breath to really sharpen your focus on that area. So if you've blessed the energy center with metta kindness, you should already feel a little bit of a tingling, a little bit of an awakening, and you can use Ujjayi breath to sharpen your focus on that area and be much more aware of its presence. So Ujjayi breath is this practice where you're not using your vocal cords at all. You're not vocalizing anything, but what you're doing is constricting your epiglottis a little bit so that when the air moves through your throat, you can actually audibly hear it. Maybe someone across the room shouldn't be able to hear it very much, but you sitting right there in that moment, you can hear it a little bit more. So what it does is create a sha sound in when you're inhaling and a shi sound when you're exhaling, and you can use that to sharpen your focus. So if I were to sit here and do Ujjayi breath, it would sound kind of like this. So that's not my vocal cords making that sound. I'm not going sha or she. It's you hear the difference. It's my epiglottis kind of constricting a little bit the airflow to create a resonance of airflow. And for those of you that have meditated before and have tried to just sit there and focus on your breath when you're just using your diaphragm and there's no resistance to the air that's coming in and out of your body, you might notice that your attention gets bored pretty quick. But if you sit down and actually pause this video and try the Ujjayi breath, what you'll notice is it really sucks your attention into the breath because there's a lot more going on. Because of that friction, because of that resonance, it's a lot more interesting to the mind, and the mind really gets sucked into it. So that's ocean breathing, the Ujjayi breath. And what you can do with the energy centers is actually breathe into the energy center. So as you're sitting there and you've already blessed the energy center, and you're just breathing, you can imagine that you're breathing the ocean breath into the energy center. So I've got my focus on Mooladhara, and so you really feel that energy center alivening because your mind is being very focused and becoming very aware of the energy of that. And it's almost like you're breathing life into the energy centers, and it just blossoms from there. It's really cool. So the third technique, after you've done, do a couple of sets of the Ujjayi breath, maybe 3 or 4 sets of that, after you've maybe 30 seconds of metta kindness, being thankful for the energy center, a couple of sets, 3 sets of the Ujjayi breath. And then the third thing that you can try is called Om Japa. And Om Japa is really cool. So Om Japa is a mantra. And you probably have heard of the famous mantra Om, right? Om. You always see people in movies when they're meditating, just sit there and go Om. And it was funny growing up, I used to think that this was just this kind of a silly thing that people that meditate do. But it's actually very powerful. And as you get deeper into meditative experience, you realize how subtle and how powerful these vibrations can be to your experience when you're getting deeper and deeper into meditation. And what it can do for the energy centers is really incredible, because after you've blessed them with metta kindness and sharpened your focus on them with Ujjayi breath, you can mentally bring the mantra Om into it, and you'll feel it start resonating at the Om frequency. And a lot of literature, a lot of people talk about the universe, the earth itself. One of its main vibrational frequencies is the Om frequency. And as you get deeper into meditation, you can almost hear it. It's like that low rumble that you get when you're very, very focused on something. But using that mantra actually helps synchronize the energy center into that area. into that resonant frequency. And you can do it out loud. I recommend just doing it mentally because in my opinion it's the same effect. And if you're using something like the Muse headband, you don't want to use your mouth or diaphragm or vocal cord muscles in contraction because it's going to mess up the EEG signal. So definitely if you are just meditating with the Muse headband, just do it internally. So, I'm sitting there, bless Mooladhara with the loving kindness energy. Then I'm going to breathe into it to sharpen my awareness and let it blossom up, and then do that last synchronized move, which is the I'm doing that internally as I'm got my focus down on the energy center, and you should just feel it after it opens up and resonates. It's just there. It is just there. And then you can systematically move up the spine to those different energy centers to the point at which you're at Anya, right here in the third eye. And you can do those 3 different practices. And I'm going to bless Anya. Thank it for its cosmic wisdom that it brings me during meditation. Then I can use Ujjayi breath to waken it up. And then resonate it, set it into sync with the rest of the chain with the Om breath, Om Japa. And really what you should feel as you move up the spine doing these techniques is each one of the centers will sort of awaken, blossom, and then sink into this resonance pattern with each other. And if you do it all the way up the spine, you can feel all the different centers activated and sort of vibrating at the same frequency. And then at that point, you can do spinal breathing, which you feel the energy coming up and circulating all the way up the spine and back down the other side of the spine. So that now your whole body, your whole central nervous system, your whole peripheral nervous system is vibrating and open and ready for the experience, which is deep meditation, which can be really awesome, in my opinion. I never had such deep meditative experiences until I really started doing this. This is why I feel like it's really important to share on this channel. And some people are worried about this information actually being shared on the channel. These are techniques that can be very powerful, so be careful with them. But in my opinion, my viewers, the people that are listening to this video, are ready for this. So I encourage you to try it and really start exploring it, because I think that too many people try meditation and fall out of it because they don't get these experiences that I'm talking about. And because of that, they don't build up the habit set and get really excited about exploring further. So, take these techniques, try them. A book that I've been talking about recently was J.C. Stevens. I really recommend taking a look at that, in which he talks a lot about these techniques. I've also got an ebook called Muse Meditation Mastery out that talks about these techniques as well and how to use them with the Muse headband, so you can check that out. But I really appreciate the listen, and hopefully this was helpful. This is Dr. Cody Rall with Techforpsych. Talk to you again next week.